I hate this so much! Betsy Devos, or Devos. I don't really know how it's pronounced. Is it Devo? Like the guys with the funny hats from the 80s? Can we put a picture of her with a funny hat right there? Is that cool? All right, she looks great. So Betsy Devos, who's the secretary of, Betsy DeVos, who's the secretary of, oh God, it's real. Betsy DeVos, who is unfortunately the Secretary of Education, gave a statement after a listening session to the leaders of historically black colleges and universities. Good that she was in a listening session, because we don't like when she speaks. So she gives a statement. I'm sure nothing could possibly be wrong with the statement, considering she's the same person that said we should have guns in schools because people are afraid of grizzly bears. That's actually not true. She didn't specify what type of bear. She just said bears. We should all be afraid of bear attacks. What is the opposite of bear in the LGBT world? I should ask a homophobic senator since they're probably gay. So she gives this statement. What does the statement say? Sure, it's a perfectly appropriate thing for an educated adult to say, who's in charge of educating everyone else. That's the case, right? Right? Probably not the case. Do we have the statement? Magics. Mason, why is the statement crumpled already? Were you that upset with it? You probably should be. All right, let's start. A key priority for this administration is to help develop opportunities for communities that are often the most underserved. That is an excellent priority. Thank you, Devo. Whip it. Whip it good. Rather than focus solely on funding, we must be willing to make the tangible structural reforms that will allow students to reach their full potential. What a creative way for her to say we're not going to give you any money. Rather than bog you down with funding. Why should we complicate things with money? We're not going to pay you. Historically black colleges and universities, parentheses, HBCUs. It's great. She knows the abbreviation. That's awesome. That's good for someone who's in charge of education. Historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, have done this since their founding. That's right, Betsy DeVos. Good for you. You said something great. I'm sure it won't be followed with anything monumentally stupid. They started from the fact that there were too many students in America who did not have equal access to education. That is why historically black colleges and universities started, because black students did not have equal access to education. Looks like Betsy DeVos is a student of history. Maybe everything I thought about her was wrong. Let's find out. They saw that the system wasn't working, that there was an absence of opportunity, so they took it upon themselves to provide the solution. So far, there's not much wrong with this statement. I bet the next line won't be one of the dumbest things I've ever read. HBCUs are real pioneers when it comes to school choice. Oh, fuck you, Betsy DeVos. Are you serious? Are you fucking serious? They're not pioneers when it comes to school choice. They pioneered because they were forced to, because they weren't allowed to mingle with white people. That's why HBCUs exist. The same reason why blacks only water fountains existed. You know, HBWFs. It wasn't a water choice. It was a necessity. People needed to drink water, and you wouldn't allow them to with white people, so then they had to have their own water fountains. That's why HBCUs exist, because they were forced to. This wasn't a choice. No one was looking at Harvard and said, you know, we should start our own school because we don't want to go to Harvard. We have a choice. It's not what happened. What, are you going to compliment the Japanese on their choice of gated communities next? Oh, those Jewish people have wonderful year-round camps. Betsy DeVos, you're an idiot. You're an idiot, and you're in charge of educating our youth. The reason that HBCUs exist now is still not school choice, as you put it. It's because they foster an environment safe from people like you. Now, people who support Betsy DeVos, you know, the ones that are afraid of bears attacking their students, might look at this and say, well, what's the big deal? She just misspoke, like we all do in prepared statements that are gone over by 100 people before they're released. They might ask, why does this matter? It matters because Betsy DeVos is tone deaf. She completely doesn't understand the issues of underprivileged people. And you know what? Neither do I, but I'm not Secretary of Education. And unfortunately, we live in the middle of this alternate future where she is. She had every ability to fix this statement and to take out that little super offensive line. This wasn't dashed off at 4 a.m. like it was a tweet from the president. Isn't that terrifying? This is something that was proofread and released anyway. And there wasn't a single person in that administration that looked at this and said, this is horrifically insensitive. And the more Betsy DeVos is in charge of educating our children, the less likely that is to happen. So are you for or against school choice? That's not the issue I have with this statement. I see why you crumpled it up. The issue I have is the fundamental lack of understanding of history, which is something that could have been fixed if Betsy Devos had ever paid attention in school. So Betsy Devos, go fuck yourself. GF White.